This is Nick Thompson in Louisville, Kentucky, a bankruptcy and foreclosure attorney. How do you keep property in bankruptcy? Well, first of all, you can only keep your property. If you end up selling or giving away property before you file bankruptcy, let's say you give your mother a car, then you cannot use the exemptions in order to keep the car that you gave to your mother. It doesn't belong to you anymore. So you're not able to apply an exemption that would allow you to keep property. You don't have it anymore. It may be that you've actually lost that property because of the fact that you gave that property away. If you keep the property, then you have a $4,000 federal exemption that allows you to keep an automobile for your own personal use. So that means that if the car is worth $15,000 and that you owe $11,000 on it, that $4,000 of equity that you have in that car is allowed, and you're allowed to keep the car. If you have a Mercedes 600 class and it's worth $100,000 and you only owe $30,000 on it, you've got $70,000 worth of equity, and that $4,000 exemption is not going to be enough to allow you to keep the car. The trustee would sell that car in order to pay your creditors with. Most people, of course, don't own a 600 class Mercedes. Most people own a 3, 4, 5-year-old Toyota. So with most people, you normally never lose your house or lose your car. Most people that come to me to file bankruptcy have purchased their house within the last 5 or 10 years. You're allowed a federal exemption, and most of the states use the federal exemptions to exempt up to $25,000 worth of equity in your own house. If you're married and you're both on the deed and the mortgage, then you both have a $25,000 exemption, and you can exempt up to $50,000 of value in a home. Let's say there's a $200,000 home, you have a $150,000 mortgage, you have $50,000 worth of exemptions, you have no problems keeping your home. And quite often what we look at may be the PVA value, what the county assesses as a property valuation for taxes as to your home. That PVA value may be less than what the Zillow book value is or what the top selling price is. And we will often use the PVA value or what the liquidation value is. What would that car sell, or what would that house sell for if we had to quickly sell the property and we were not able to get the prime, most highest price that we could for it? You're allowed to keep a substantial amount of household goods. You can't keep much more than $625 of any one particular item. So if you have a big screen TV, as long as the big screen TV is not worth over $625, you can keep it. And you can keep roughly about $16,000 worth of household goods. Most people don't have over $3,000 or $4,000 worth of household goods. The exemptions are on our website and it's in our bankruptcy manual, but the exemptions change once or twice a year, and they're always being adjusted according to inflation. There are some states, such as Indiana, that use the state exemptions. You have the ability to opt for the federal exemptions in most states, like Kentucky, and there are some states, such as Florida, where you have those state exemptions, which are larger than the federal exemptions. The exemptions allow you to keep property. It's relatively rare for anybody to lose any property, but you may want to transfer one type of property over to another. For instance, if you had money in the bank, you may not want to have that money in the bank, and you may want to pay your mortgage ahead a little bit and apply that that way, so that at the moment that you file bankruptcy, you don't end up having $20,000 in the bank and that you're forced to lose it. In the state of Indiana, you're only allowed to have up to $300,000 in the bank. And in the state of Kentucky, you have a wildcard exemption. If you have no real estate, you can use up to 1/2 of the real estate exemption for your home to exempt the money out in your bank account. The $25,000 federal exemption to exempt your home is only for your home. If you have instead rental property and you rent the apartment that you live in, but you own a rental unit that you rent to somebody else, you can use half of the real estate exemption towards that rental unit that is not your home, and you can use the exemption that way. The real estate exemption becomes a wildcard exemption that you can apply to anything, but you can only use 50% of it if it's not applied to the house. These exemptions and how you structure this so that you get to keep your property and lose the maximum amount of debt is something that you want to plan with somebody who's qualified as an attorney. There's a certain amount of movement that you can do, that you can move things around, but you want to avoid there being any fraudulent transfers or any preferential transfers, which we cover in another video on fraudulent and preferential transfers. And you want to avoid those problems. If you have a question about bankruptcy and you need to plan this out so that you maximize the amount of debt that you discharge and you maximize the amount of property you keep, give us a call. Look at our website and look at the manual that you can download off of our website. This is Nick Thompson in Louisville, Kentucky. Give us a call. Thank you.